Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TAPS Tuesday Q&As. If you haven't been here before, my name's Ted, and this is something that we started doing during the pandemic, and it's been a real joy to interview friends and colleagues from all over the world and talk about percussion, talk about their lives. This is made possible by donations from people like you. TAPS is a nonprofit organization, and we're offering everything that we do either online or in person for free. That means that we're looking for 8 fellows for a TAPS LA Music Festival. I don't know if our guest knows about this, but yeah, I might tell her about it later, but I guess I'm telling her now. Yeah, this will be our second annual TAPS LA Music Festival. We're going to be performing the music of Steve Reich. If you don't know his music for 18 musicians, it's a transcendent piece, and we're going to be performing it at the USS Iowa Battleship, and it's like the coolest venue. And we'll be doing outreach with students in Los Angeles, and our fellows will be doing some of that outreach. So TAPS is a labor of love. We cannot do it without your support. We do need to thank Zildjian Cymbals for their support tonight, and I know some of you are here because we're giving away a pair of 18-inch Zildjian Constantinople cymbals, which happen to be among our guests' favorite cymbals, which is pretty cool. We came up with something today, which is that, boy, it would be a real drag for everybody if someone who'd already won one of the gifts that we've given away during the TAPS Q&As won again. So sorry, Marcelina, who won a Leo Soto lesson last week. You cannot win these cymbals. KY Chung, who won a Luff tambourine about a month ago. Sorry, dude. Yoon Jun Kim, who got a lesson with me, I'm sorry you're not eligible. And Mario Perez, who got the Tom Freer percussion bundle, which was like 5 sets of mallets, sorry you are not eligible. But if you've been here before, at the end of this hour, we're going to open up our wheel, and we'll do a spin and find a lucky winner for this pair of cymbals. Regarding this interview and all TAPS Q&As, if you have questions for our guests, and I hope you do, please put them in the chat thread, and I would be glad to ask them to our guest. Our guest today is the most important position in all of the world. I know this because I held this position. She's the principal percussionist of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, by far the best, finest orchestra in the entire universe. The position is one of incredible status and stature, hence why I was appointed to that position. Let me talk about myself for a moment here. In 2000, and I held the position until 2006, at which time I subsequently retired from the orchestra. Upon retirement, an audition was held, and the winner, the new principal percussionist of Chicago Symphony since 2006, I believe it is Miss Cynthia Yeh. Cynthia Yeh, welcome. How are you?
Thanks, Ted. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'll start by saying that sometimes I have dreams in the middle of the night, and I wish I was you. I don't wish I was like you in your body. I guess I wish I was me doing your job.
Still having the job that you had that you gave up.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but actually, the dream is like I'm late for the concert, and I'm totally unprepared, and I'm playing Scheherazade, and I don't have the drum on stage. Do you ever have dreams? Yeah, do you have dreams like that?
No, my recurring nightmare is that my dad, who has come to very few concerts of mine, is driving me to a concert, and we're so late. I don't have sticks, and we're like late that I look at the music and I can't read music. I don't understand what those scribblage things are, what those dots are.
Yeah. I know I have that similar dream. For me, it's also I've got a recital the next day, but I'm a professional, so I'm expected to be good, and I'm completely unprepared. And I'm going, okay, what could I do? I could do like clapping music. I could do clapping music without rehearsal.
But Ted, isn't that your reality?
Oh, that's so cold, Cynthia. Oh, that
Oh,
burns. Yeah, you
ouch.
fake it till you make it, right?
That's right.
Well, you did not. You did not fake it till you made it. And yeah, before we take me all the way down, take my confidence down to zero. Let's talk about how you got there. Let's talk about what was your upbringing or your early experiences with music. I know that percussion was not your first instrument.
No. Uh, well, I was born in Taiwan, raised in Taipei until I was 10. So I started playing piano when I was 4. Was a pianist all the way through. Fast forward to Canada, moved to Canada, wanted to join band. So the band director put me in the back to play xylophone. It was fun. It was like the first time I had real fun playing music. So, it was high school band. It was fun.
So you
Played some
didn't
drum
enjoy
set.
playing piano prior to that? Piano was not fun?
No, I mean, piano was serious. Band
Ah.
was not serious. Band didn't require practicing. Band doesn't require anything but social time. So,
And you could sight read all the xylophone parts
oh,
because
of
you were
course,
playing Chopin
it
ballads.
was a joke. Um, so, so, well, in high school band, are you kidding? But,
It's still
but
kind of
then
a joke, right?
I don't know. I haven't been in high school band since high
No,
school.
I mean playing xylophone.
Well, it's not a joke. It's a very serious thing, but
But it's easy for you.
it's not. It's not what I. Well, but then it bites me sometimes.
Yes,
Uh, yes.
I get that.
Um. But anyways, my first year of undergrad was in business. Because my piano teacher at the time was like, no one should go into music. So I'm like, fine, I'll go into business, make some real money. Then I really miss music, so then I asked him if I could go into his studio at University of British Columbia for as piano performance. And of course, he says that I passed this test of like he wanted to test to make sure we all like love music and can't be without it. So then he let me into the studio, and then I needed a small ensemble credit, so I signed up for percussion ensemble, thinking, honest to God, that it was going to be as easy as band. And I
Mm.
walk into first rehearsal. I mean, UBC only had 3 other percussion majors, or I don't even know if they were majors. Well, regardless, they were in rehearsal. Everyone was holding like 4 mallets. I had never seen that in my life. I didn't know what that was. I was like, okay, I might need
And
some lessons.
you're like 19 at this point, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
wow.
but I was like, I might need some lessons because I don't know how to do that. I don't think I can just like wing it in this percussion ensemble. So then I
Yeah.
started studying with John Rudolph. This was back in it was like January semester. And then I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And by June, I knew that John was leaving. He was going to Toronto. Um, so then he was like, Cynthia, you should just take my audition for a Canadian only 1 year. So I did. I mean, crashed and burned. But then in the fall was where I met Eric Milstein. That was oh, so anyways, sorry, back up.
Yeah.
So I was taking these lessons. By June of that year, so my second year of undergrad, the my piano teacher calls and says, Cynthia, you can't be in my studio if you're going to play percussion. Choose.
Mm.
And without thinking about it, I was like, fine, I'm choosing percussion. So
Wow.
then that was that. Um, so I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And then,
But you
yeah,
knew
then
you
I
liked
second.
it. You knew it was fun for you.
Yeah, but I didn't see like what I didn't know was that I didn't know that there was like audition. I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of knew that there were auditions, but I didn't really know like what it meant. And then I didn't know that there were other possibilities playing percussion. Like I didn't know there was like new music. I couldn't count to 5. I mean, I was done at 4. And I can only do subdivisions of like 2, 3, and 4, like no quintuplets. I mean, like it was a joke.
Yeah.
Um, so
And you didn't really have like you weren't seeing a viable career path yet because you said you didn't really know there were auditions, like you weren't fully aware of what the future held, right?
well, I knew that you could work as a no, I thought that being in an orchestra was the only thing,
Ah.
but I didn't know how one gets in the orchestra really. But then like by fall, there was the international audition for the section, and somehow I advanced. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, this is easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'll have a job in no time. I'll be in the Vancouver Symphony in no time.
Yeah.
But the the scary part is that by a year after that, it was the national round again for the permanent principal job, and I was a runner-up. And I'm like, there is no way I should be runner-up at this job. I probably need more schooling and learn to play a snare drum roll.
So you couldn't play. You felt like you couldn't play a snare drum roll, but you were runner up for Vancouver.
Well, I mean, it was Canadian only, Ted.
What are you trying to say about Canadian percussionists, Cynthia?
I'm not saying anything about Canadian, but I'm just saying it was a Canadian only audition.
I
And
hear you. I hear you.
but
By the way, there are
anyway,
some Canadians in this room. One just
yay
popped into my
Canada,
line of sight. Hello, Canada. Oh, cat.
Canada.
Sorry, I lost it there. All right, so you decide that you need more training, and so
Well,
then what
I knew
happened?
I needed to go to grad school. So basically, I was trying to decide between doing an extra, going to Toronto to study with John Rudolph some more, or that's the summer of '98 when it was when I went to Aspen. So I had been 1 year as a percussionist, I believe. And that was when like my first time in the States, my first time meeting like American people and
That's weird. That's
percussionists.
super weird, right?
I know, then that's where I, like found out about like Richard Brown, Alan. Well, I always knew about Alan Abel because John Rudolph was Alan Abel's student.
Right.
So he was the only person I knew that I should probably study with. So then, I knew I should go to grad school because I only had a 2 year undergrad in
Hmm.
percussion. So
Right.
gaping holes in the playing.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's kind of staggering how late you got to it. But okay, so but then what happens? By the way, so you met Eric Milstein at Aspen, is that right?
No, I met Eric Milston in Vancouver for the international audition for the section job.
Ah, okay. Got it.
That, yeah. But
And
then
then yeah, go ahead.
um, for grad school, I guess I stayed with Milstein and Spiritus because they were roommates. Um, yeah, I don't know. So, but anyway, so summer of '98, I met all these American people and then knew about all these different schools. And then, so then that spring, I auditioned for grad school and didn't get into the top ones, but Mr. Abel saw something in me, thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really amazing. Well, and I always find that interesting about Alan Abel's legacy at Temple because Temple was never known as a big music school, and yet so many of his Temple students are professionals all over the world. Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's interesting because you say like yeah, it wasn't like the big school. Like I'm imagining you auditioned for like a Juilliard and a NEC and an Eastman maybe, but as it turned out, it was kind of the perfect place for you as it was for me because he just
Yeah.
understood and he understood how to teach this stuff quickly and he also saw something I guess in each of us in spite of ourselves.
Right. Yeah, and I think like Temple was great. Well, it was great for me because I thought that there was only orchestral percussion. So going to him, he also thought that there was only orchestral percussion. So
Yeah.
so had I gotten into Juilliard,
Yeah.
I may have been like, holy crap, there's like new music, there's still chamber music, there's all this other stuff I could possibly pursue. But no, it was like I was pigeonholed into playing orchestra because that's all I knew. I didn't even really know that there were other possibilities, even at Temple, because
Yeah.
that was never an option.
It's interesting though because you are a great new music player, but obviously you came to it really late, like later.
Right. I came to it basically. I mean, I'm playing more new music now. I'm playing a lot of music now. I'm
Right.
playing more new music since I've been here than I ever have.
You're doing it almost in reverse, maybe.
I am. I
Yeah.
think,
Well, I don't know.
yeah,
I
I
don't know
guess.
if you say orchestra comes first, but certainly at Temple, that's what you knew and that's what you were studying. So,
Right.
I'm trying to remember this because just for context, I got my job in Chicago in 1997. So you were an undergrad in 97, right?
Yeah, that was my first year going into percussion as a third year undergrad.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got the job in 97 and
Right.
Gordon Peters retired, the other
Right.
distinguished principal percussionist of the Chicago Symphony prior to me and Cynthia. And Gordon, he decided to retire in 2000.
GP.
GP, the man.
The GP.
I learned lots of important lessons from GP, lots of important lessons. I'll teach you some of them sometime, Cynthia. I think we should pass down these traditions.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very, very important that we keep this lineage alive. But anyway, it was 2000 that that audition took place, and I won that job. And at that time, you were already at Temple in
Hmm.
2000?
Yeah. Yeah, I started in the fall of 99. So technically, I took the audition that Vadim won. I was in
Right.
the semis of that one.
Yeah, and that was the principal audition. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the
Okay. Yeah,
principal. Yeah, but Vadim got hired
because you won.
because I won principal, and they just hired Vadim. Now, I want you to know this. I talked to Jim Ross before this audition. I said, "Look, Jim, let me level with you here. If I win, I'm not being presumptuous here, but if I win or if Patsy wins, Patsy was in the finals, we should not hire another person immediately. We should have another audition that would be an assistant timpani section percussion position."
Yeah, I mean that
And Jim
makes sense.
said, "Well, I don't know about that." And so I said, and that was where it ended, you know? So like nothing happened there. And of course, I wasn't going to think about that too much because I'm like, if I win, it's going to be miraculous anyway. That's going to be some modern miracle. So why even like foreshadow that? But if you ask me, I think that's what should have happened. That's not to say it's not wonderful to have Vadim, but I think that you should never have a principal percussionist as your assistant timpanist because the workload is just
I
is
agree.
enormous. You
Well,
agree?
it's also when there's two Tims, then you don't have a principal.
Then you don't have your
And
principal in the
yeah,
percussion section.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can't, reinvent history here. And, we're the smartest people in the orchestra, but they don't ask our opinion.
Well, but then I don't know how they decided between Vadim and Patsy, but Vadim got appointed assistant timpani when you
Right.
took a sabbatical or something. So when I came in, it was just a straight principal percussion. Thank goodness.
Yeah, right. So you don't have to bother with intonation.
Oh no, thank you.
Well, it's fascinating. I do have dreams about like being on stage and being unprepared. So I want to get through this because then studying with Alan Abel, you kind of have this meteoric rise. I mean, you were already doing well, but like things really start to click for you.
Well, I think the thing with Mstrable that was really great for me is because I showed up knowing how to play mallets, right? Like I didn't need his help playing mallets. I didn't really need his help like with musical things. I needed his help like how like my first month. So basically, long story short, um, Vern Griffith, who's the current principal of the Vancouver Symphony, so he became my teacher after 6 months. After my, I only got 6 months with John Rudolph. Then it was Vern because Vern was the principal percussion in Vancouver, but he had like really bad tendonitis at the time. So he didn't want to show me anything technical, including how to hold a pair of sticks.
Just
So
for his own safety because he was nursing an injury.
yeah, well, and also he was like, well, obviously I probably don't play right because I have problems. So
Right.
my first month with Abel was that here's the stick, this is where it goes in your hand, here's the ruler, here's the tape, and now start doing the chicken wing. Like I was walking up that around that apartment, like learning to do the chicken wing for like the first month until it became. But I mean, like I needed that structure of this is how you play this instrument, this is how you hold a pair of cymbals, this is how you play a tambourine,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
And
you
so
know
you're kind of saying you didn't really have a snare drum roll to speak of before you went to your masters.
I don't think I did. I mean, I would love to hear the tape of my Delacruz one. I mean,
Me
or
too.
yeah, well, too bad technology wasn't really in existence back
Isn't
then.
that such a good thing for us? Like in some
Yes,
ways,
it
like
is.
do you really want to hear that? Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know, but it would be interesting because the fact that you were not a snare drummer and you put that all together is like really staggering to me. Because I always think that people that are coming from a snare drum background are at a distinct advantage, but you kind of demonstrate that your piano background was really helpful and that the mallet stuff became really effortless, especially because your piano teacher says, "Yeah, if you're playing percussion, you can't play piano." So you're like, "Well, great. Then marimba's going to be my voice, right?"
Well, I hate the marimba, but
Oh,
yeah.
you do?
I mean, I do. Going from 10 fingers and like really great composers
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to four thingies and
Cynthia Yeh, hot take. Marimba music is not really as relevant or exciting or interesting as
I didn't say that. I'm saying there's
as
great
Chopin.
piano, Schubert, Schumann, like great stuff for 10 voices.
Right.
10
You have 10, not 6.
with sustain.
Hey, there's 6 mallet marimba. I mean, there's so
Ah,
much versatility
that's for
there.
kids.
You
Yeah,
can
like
play an
me.
F sharp, you can play an F sharp, D minor, and C major. Those are the only keys you can play in. Isn't that great? Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I didn't even
Yes.
know that, but okay.
Well, I mean, you'd figure it out pretty quickly. So like you can't, the
Yeah.
6 mallets, you can't like get certain chords. You know what I mean?
I
You get it. So then,
say no more.
yeah, you get it. All right. So you're not a fan of marimba. Do you still play piano?
I do try to play some piano, yeah.
Yeah.
But my hands have shrunk. My
Really?
sight reading has gone to crap. And like the finger muscles have completely atrophied.
I don't believe that your sight reading has gone to crap. All right, but this
Well,
is a good one.
compared to what I could do.
Yeah. But basically then you get sight reading on percussion like a single line thing and you're like, this ain't no thing.
Right. But I had
Yeah.
problems with, see, but the problem is I have problems with rhythms. Jim will vouch for the fact that I can't play in 2/2.
That's a tough one for you.
Oh,
2-2. It is confusing.
yes,
Why is the half
2/2.
note the beat? Like who wants that?
It just still blows my mind.
Yeah. But you clearly have figured out how to overcome and look, I feel the opposite. I feel that because I quit playing piano and I kept playing drums, that like playing timpani for me is generally I'm not gonna say relaxing, but I feel at home there. I feel at home playing snare drum or tambourine or bass drum. And I basically had to, when I was at Temple, I had to figure out how to become friends with xylophone because it scared me. I was really intimidated by playing xylophone. And so I was sort of the opposite. And I was
Yeah,
spending my time at Temple trying to overcome, my shortcomings in terms of my training. So
yeah,
I totally get it.
yeah. But you have that. You're one of the very few that I talk about that has like this stupid rock solid inner pulse that you were born with. That
No
fat
way.
beat. Yeah, I remember that, and I'm like, because like I've had to work on it, but then like it's like the guy from Matrix, like he can just walk down the street and there's just like that soundtrack beat going. It's just like there, and you don't have to do anything. It's just there.
Yeah, I'm feeling it right now. I'm
Yeah,
totally yeah. I'm at quarter
damn
note
right.
equals 80. No, I'm in 2-2 right now. Um, I appreciate that, and yeah, but I really feel there's so many other areas where it's like I really had to overcome those weaknesses, and I just was talking about this with the Colburn guys. It's basically about how to play comprehensively in an audition, so that the mallet playing is the same level as the snare drum playing, as the timpani playing, and you can't really have an area of supreme weakness and have that show when you're trying to win a major symphony audition, right?
Right. I mean, basically, what I kind of hear myself tell my students is nobody cares how hard anything is. Nobody wants to hear anyone on the struggle bus. Like you've sat on enough like auditions for other instruments where you don't know how hard certain things are. And you
Yeah.
know what? Neither do you care.
Nope.
You don't care
No.
because it should sound effortless and flawless all at the same time and just beautifully musical. That's all that matters. So it doesn't matter if you're playing the triangle or the glock or the snare drum, it just needs to sound effortless. And then we can talk about like nuance if you agree with the nuance or not. But that's
Yeah.
kind of your baseline.
Yeah, you can't say to the proctor, please tell the committee that those four-stroke roughs and Kiji are actually challenging. Like they don't
Right.
know or care.
Right. And I've sat on like principal trumpet auditions and someone's like, well, that's really hard. I'm like, I don't really care that that's hard.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
why
out of
you think
tune.
I would care. Yeah.
Yeah,
If it's
it's
out
out
of
of
tune
tune.
or if it's slowing down or, oh, it's really hard to get the articulation like on the double bass. I'm like, I don't care because in my head, in the perfect world, the bass can have pitch. It's not
Yeah,
just moving furniture. Like,
I know. And you occasionally, and you do, I think bass is an interesting instrument, kind of like percussion, because occasionally someone comes along that can play stuff with a really good sense of time, and then you're buying the music and the sound concept. And I think that's rare in percussion, and I think it's rare in bass to hear pitch and rhythm all at the same time, and then like music. It's like I recognize it's a high difficulty instrument, but like, yeah, come on, people. Like, let's get it
I'm kind
together,
of
right?
looking forward to like sitting on like a bass trombone audition.
Really?
I'm not, I'm joking, but not joking.
Oh. You think it'll be kind of like for the humor reasons?
No, no, because it's like it's awful sitting there hearing bad bass trombone or bad anything, right? But to just like this to like hear just like well to me like I feel like the trombone's got to be in a hard instrument because they have like so much
Yeah.
movement, you know?
Yeah, there's
But then
action.
yeah, yeah. But then it's like the like that to me is like the bass. Like there's so much movement
Yeah. Yeah.
that it would kind
I
of be fun.
yeah, like how do you actually like find that reach and hit the pitch? Like it's pretty
I
amazing.
have no idea.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like why would you do like I'd rather do like biathlon where you like cross country ski and then
And
shoot the rifle.
well, what I don't understand is how do you not punch yourself in the face
Right. How does that
or ram like how this hand
like why it wouldn't
doesn't
hit your mouth? Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Have you ever asked Charlie Vernon? Why don't we get him on Taps Q&As? He's
I'm
available.
not gonna.
Not going to ask him. All right, fine. Um, so yeah, so let's retrace our steps here. This is a Taps Q&A. We have a bunch of questions in the chat, so I want to make sure I get to some of those. But just to wrap up with where how it all fell into place, tell us about a little bit about what you remember from your audition for the Chicago Symphony. I mean, I wish this is another area where I wish I kind of had video of it because in order to win that job, not only are you super prepared, but you're playing your ass off and you know it. You have to be confident enough to know that this is good, and that's how you're going to convince that committee to hire you. So take us through your preparation and then the experience of the audition.
Well, so since I took the job you got and Vadim got, I knew that that marimba was like up here on me.
Mm,
So I knew that going in that it was going to be brutal. And and so a few things and dude, you don't understand how badly I wanted your job.
mm.
I mean, like when you announced you were leaving, I mean, I don't think there was any percussionists that weren't like giddy
They were
because that
pumped
job,
up.
of
Yeah,
course they were. And also to me, this was never a job that was supposed to ever happen, like become open in my audition career because we're not that far in age,
right.
right? So you're gonna like,
So people are going like, what WTF is wrong with this guy? And holy F, this is so awesome because now we didn't even think this was going to be a thing and now it's a thing.
right? Because we all thought that the big was gonna be like Rich Wiener,
Right.
right? Because it wasn't, and then yeah, because Mickey had passed by then,
Yeah.
but so like of the majors, it was like Dick seemed like you were the youngest
Yeah. Right.
of the five of them, right? So,
Sure.
well, really the seven of, if you wanted to count LA and San Francisco. But
Yeah,
so,
sure.
anyways, when that happened, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my shit together here.
Yeah.
Um, um, but long story short, because I was in San Diego Symphony already,
Right.
so, but between the prelims after I advanced and then yeah, I had like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. I think I just, I mean, not I think they have central time even though I was living on the West Coast. Because like the 9 a.m. call, man, that's hard. And I was
Yeah.
not a morning person back then. So, really prepared, left no stones unturned. Like, because usually my tendency is like, oh, probably don't need to look at that one. I should be fine.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I
you won San Diego, and there was a couple things you didn't look at?
I mean, I probably looked at it, but like, was that a San Diego list probably was a lot shorter.
Okay.
You know what really bit me was Cleveland. I mean, everything worked out in the end, but like when I was in San Diego, I took Cleveland
Yeah.
when Demolakis won the section job.
Yeah.
I did not look at Peak Dam. I just didn't look at it. That was like, especially the first page. Like I just figured, I don't know what there's to look at. That last page has an ask on Tanglewood, but I've never gotten into Tanglewood, so I don't really know. But for the finals, there weren't that many things asked. And it was like both the beginning, which I didn't even know existed.
You know what, Cynthia? You are carrying on a real tradition of principal percussionists of the Chicago Symphony. You have flaky tendencies. Bravo to you. You're carrying on the tradition. And so
No, but
sometimes
it
you
was
go, I
because of
got
that.
this. I got this. Okay.
No, but it was because of that. I was like, damn it, like I'm not gonna let that happen to me in Chicago. So I actually want this one. This one I actually want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyways, oh, you know what I do remember is the prelims. You start with a Bach, and that bloody marimba still got me. Like it still was higher than I thought it was gonna be, and I like cracked on quite a few notes. But
Hmm.
they let me keep playing. I played the whole round, and at the end, the proctor asked if they could have me play the Bach again.
Uh-huh.
And then I did, and I like kept it together and then advanced. So I knew that. And then I heard after the fact, I think it was like Joyce or someone told me like after I started that she was like, you need to. I was the one that asked to hear that Bach again, and that pushed you over the edge. Because if I'm like, thank you.
Joyce saved your ass.
Joy saved my ass. Well, I
That's
mean, they
great.
didn't cut me because they were cutting people.
Right.
But anyways, and then the finals. It was Boulez that hired me because Barenboim had left by then.
Right, right.
So, but the super finals was just me and Vadim, but it was only 2 excerpts.
That was it?
Yeah, because they ran out of time.
What two excerpts?
It was the Ligeti and
Oh.
the Petrushka. No. Yeah. So
Yeah.
John comes down to the green room and says, Cynthia, Vadim, you've advanced. Grab a pair of mallets. Because we're like, okay, well, we need to warm up. And like, no, we don't have time. And we're grabbing our drums. He goes, no, you just need one pair of mallets. And off you go. So
Wow.
Boulez came on stage and conducted those two.
Oh. So bum bum bee bum bum buddy dum bum that.
Yeah, but you know how like most people learned it. Da 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 da. Yeah, turned
Well,
it
that's why
around.
Frank Epstein, he wanted you to tap your foot in the Tanglewood audition. He wanted to make sure you could count it in five. So this must have been trouble for you because you were only able to count up to four.
Well, see, by then I learned how to count.
Oh, you figured it out.
Well, I learned how to count, but I can also watch and not look down, right? Like I don't look when I'm playing mallets, so
That's cool.
because the ligety is a lot of notes, and
Are we talking the 6/8 thing at the end? Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I know that one.
yeah. But of course, everyone learned it just as like start, go, done,
Head down.
play, knock out all the 16th notes. But then I like looked at the music and I was like, shit, it's in 4/4. I didn't even know what time signature it was in. Then it was more like, okay, well, just line up with him on all the downbeats.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that was it.
Did you nail that one?
Ted, I got the job.
That's baller. That's baller. That's hard. And by the way, two things I want to share with you. One, my first prelim round in 1997, I missed a bunch of notes on Appalachian Spring, which was early in the round. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way the Chicago Symphony will accept that. Absolutely not. But then I kept playing, and I played snare drum or I played Glock. We started with Magic Flute, but like I missed notes in Appalachian Spring, come back and play the next two excerpts fine. Then vibes, then tambourine, cymbals, like the whole list. But I came off and I was convinced I was cut because like the Chicago Symphony won't accept wrong notes.
Yes, they
And
do.
when I advanced, there were a bunch of people that were kind of pissed at me because they thought I was being a jerk about it. I actually thought I really sucked.
And I think
Um,
they were pissed because they knew you also didn't really practice a lot.
that is
You
not true.
know,
That is not true. I know, we're talking about your gifts, but don't put that on me now. All right. I had to practice to get that job. But I think it's interesting that the big orchestras are more apt to say, we hear something, we hear
right?
music, let's give this person another chance to get
Yeah,
back on the horse and see what they can do. And
yeah,
it's kind of refreshing to learn that because it's not necessarily just about being misaccurate. It's about saying something and making it sing across all
totally.
the instruments. And you get that. Also, we do have to give credit to Alan Abel because I really think that he was giving people ideas for shapes to make on stuff. And a lot of times I would do exactly what he said, but other times I would say, what if I did my own thing? That's like as engaging and feels more my own. And I'm,
Yeah,
I'm guessing you're exactly the same in that way, right?
yeah. I don't do any of his. I know. I'm sorry, Mr. Abel. I he and I got into it. Actually stopped playing Bach for him because I
Ah,
couldn't. We would get into it big time, and then I think to myself, Mr. Abel, I've been playing Bach since I was 4.
right,
Like,
right.
really, back off. I'm not going to do the hairpin.
Yeah, yeah. Did you say that to him?
I said I didn't tell him that like
Back off.
back off. I just said I basically said, well, I don't hear it as the 4 measures up, 4 measures down,
Yeah.
but let's just we have so much other stuff to get through. Let's wait. I don't need to play Bach for you. It'll be fine.
So
And
you
I never
kind of
did again.
wow. So he got the message. You kind of soft pedaled it, and then you just never played Bach for him.
Uh, I mean, I had so many holes to for him to like. I have so many other things that he needed to fix for me.
Yeah.
But then I
Um,
also knew that he was pretty formulaic, right? So like I never I always stick Kiji incorrectly to him. This one
mm,
part, I don't even remember what it was. And I
yeah.
don't stick Harianos correctly for him. And then there was one time I was like, Miss Shable, how did it sound? He was like, oh, it was fine. I'm like, then why do I need to change my sticking? Oh, because it's more even. Was it not even? No, it was even. Okay, then.
Leave it alone. Leave me alone.
Leave it alone.
I know I'm
Let's
here
move
to
on.
study with you, but just leave me alone now. Yeah.
No, that was for when I went to play for him after the your your
Ah,
auditions list came out. I
uh-huh.
I flew out and played the entire list for him. It
Yeah.
was like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. But I think I did the same thing before my auditions for Chicago. Um, and I had already left Temple because I was in New World for the first one, but I always went and played for him.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really amazing when Alan Abel you'd finish something, and for the first like 28 lessons, it was be like, no, let's fix this and let's fix this, and then before the audition, he's going, good. I'm like, what? Good? So that's when I knew I was like, I think I've got this. He was starting to like embrace what I was doing. So that
No,
was cool.
see, I think he was the opposite with me though.
He was tough on you?
Well, no, he would be like, good. I'm like, that wasn't good. Well, it could be better. Well, because I'm used to teachers being like, you're hopeless.
Okay.
Like the Asian style piano teachers that are like,
Yeah.
no. So then he was like all nice and because when I would go out when I played for him when your list came out, I hadn't practiced yet. I just kind of wanted to check to see where things were at,
Right.
just to get a baseline. And um, yeah, it
Uh,
was
that's
actually interesting.
that's amazing. But I also know that Vadim was playing for Alan before, his when
Hmm.
he won Chicago, and I just think that he had an understanding about how to make you think musically. Um, but I didn't know you were that confident about your musical ideas even back then, because for me I just but he's I mean it's amazing. But by the way, you were playing Bach since you were 4, so I have 2 6-year-old boys, and Jill gets really bummed out about how they're not you know getting better fast enough. Um, our teacher is very lenient, and I'm very lenient because I just want them to keep playing, because I told my parents I wanted to quit playing, and boy, had I kept up with my piano chops, it wouldn't be so hard to make that connection to the mallet instruments. And I know from watching you play how effortless you are in front of mallet instruments. Your training was so critically important. But what should I do with my 6-year-olds? Should I be tougher on them?
Dude, you're asking the wrong person. My
Um,
children are furry and four-legged.
my children? How dare you
I mean,
say that about my children?
I said my children, my children.
Oh, I've got the wrong kind of children. Yeah, I hear what
Right. Mine don't go to school. I don't have expectations of them to play musical instruments.
so you prefer four-legged children.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
won't I won't sit here and say that you're smart, because then I'd get me in trouble.
Well,
Because
I can tell you what my brother told my mom when he quit piano at around 8 or 9. And this is like 20 years later. He says, "Why did you listen to an 8-year-old?
right.
Why did you let me quit?"
Because he wishes he kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm just going to allow them to be sort of mediocre in terms of their practice, and not learn very quickly, but get their hands on the keyboard and learn a little bit of reading, and just keep it going. And by the way, in terms of sight reading, you kind of said that percussionists can't sight read. You basically implied that, but I'll say it for you, because as a pianist, like you're saying your sight reading is bad. I know you're like the best sight reader as a percussionist. Your standard is higher. And I
Well,
think
because you have to read like 10 notes at a
right,
time.
right.
I know.
So I think for everybody in this room, I'm speaking to myself included, practice your sight reading, and make sure that when you get in front of your John Williams for a studio gig, or they put the mallet part in front of you last minute, that you can actually sight read it. Which leads me to my case in point, which is a phrase that Josh Jones uses. Hey, Josh, you seem to be moving around in public. It looks exciting, man. It looks like I don't know where you're going, but it looks exciting. Cynthia, I
Huh.
had to learn the ligeti in 2 days in my second year in the orchestra. Do you know that story?
No.
So Patsy got ill. She was assigned the xylo part to the ligeti piano concerto, and I got a call from Carolee Ayatt, the former personnel manager before John Deverman. Why are you laughing?
I remember Carol Lee.
Of course you do. Cynthia, it's Carolee.
Carol Lee.
Carolee,
Is she
Midwestern.
still at Cleveland?
I don't know. I don't know. But I'll continue. So I basically I did practice once. I shed that part for like all Wednesday. I guess I learned on Tuesday afternoon that
Okay.
Patsy, she played the first rehearsal and then she was sick. So then I got that xylophone part, and I'm a okay sight reader, but I'm not a quick learner, and I wasn't going to be able to memorize this lick so that I could kind of be between conductor and xylophone. I was on the music, and Boulez was conducting, and the end of it I think is way harder. It's a 6/8 thing. On the last
Okay.
page, it's with
Okay.
xylo and piano. Do you remember that?
I've never actually played the whole piece.
Oh, you're lucky.
I want to. I know because this wasn't in '06, was it? Because I thought then you guys made Vadim play it.
No, no, no. I played it. This was in 1998.
Oh,
Yeah, this
okay,
was
okay.
I was not even principal yet. And Gordon didn't take it. He gave it to me, the new guy. And so
For sure.
I'm my first year in Chicago Symphony. I'm like, all right, this is an opportunity, but I'm like, I can't nail this. I will just do the
Yeah.
best I can. But the last page, it was impossible because it's across the whole instrument. So it wasn't
I
my
know,
it,
but see, that's where. Oh, God.
yeah. No, no, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's where like for younger students, even like I don't care what age, like you all have to not look at the keyboard.
Right,
Just
right,
never look. And then also snare drum. Like, why do you need to look at the snare drum?
right
Why do you
on.
need to look at the cymbals? Why do you no nobody else is staring at their bow hand? Like
Right.
I don't understand
Yeah.
why everyone feels the need to stare
Well,
as if
I
the
will.
targets are moving. They're not moving.
Right. But I will tell you, it is amazing. You're really impressive in that regard. I will tell you the reason why is because you have a tactile connection with the notes when you're playing piano. People are nervous that they can't feel the note. They're basing it on their peripheral vision and their feel for the instrument. Is that correct?
Yes, but those same people are also the same people that are like, this is what what you see when they're playing soft snare drum.
Interesting.
And it's
Okay.
like, I'm just saying,
That
it's
reminds me
not
of
just
someone.
hmm,
I won't go any further. I've got some
Gazilda,
questions. Who, Matilda?
Gazelda.
Oh, Gazelda. That is a story and a half. Wow. I don't think we'll get to that story tonight,
No, because I
but
actually don't know it.
oh, you don't know it?
No.
Yeah. Well, let me that stick between me and Jim Ross. Hey, we have some questions. So we're
Okay.
here with Cynthia Yeh, in case you haven't figured it out, and we're about to give away some symbols. But we do have a bunch of questions. So Cynthia, do your best. What's a piece on your bucket list? I think we kind of determined the Ligeti piano concerto might be something you want to play. You would be great at that too.
I
You
would
would
like to
slay.
play it just before I get too old.
You should. I hope that comes up again because
Yeah,
you would slay that absolutely. Do you have any other bucket list pieces?
not really.
No.
No.
You've played kind of most of the
Oh,
repertoire by now.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm figuring.
You've played probably all but maybe three Shostakovich symphonies, probably eight of the 10 Mahler symphonies, or have you played all of them?
Probably all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Yeah, no, all of them.
Do you have like do you like Mahler? What's some of your favorite stuff to play?
Well, it depends on like I love smaller bass drum parts.
Hmm.
Shostakovich snare drum part. It just like depends on like Dvorak triangle parts.
Yeah,
Like Verdi all bass drum parts.
yeah, that's cool.
Like it just depends on like the repertoire and then the instrument.
It's funny that you're not listing any mallet parts. Like you like playing bass drum and
Oh yeah,
hmm
yeah. No,
yeah, yeah.
Are there some great? You know what I've never played actually is Kolos. I don't think I've ever played it.
I haven't either. Do you know
Right?
why? Do you know why?
No, it requires a lot of subs, extras.
No, it's not very good.
Oh well.
I mean, take a listen to it. It's really
Uh,
lame. It's really like
but we
dated.
play other things just as lame, right?
Name one. What's one you don't like?
No, no comment. Go on. Next question.
Oh, I
Next
made you
question.
do it. No, it's fine.
I,
Hey, here's another question. Beyond playing the instruments well, what skills do you think are vital to win and keep an orchestra job?
your ability to not think about what you're actually doing, that all your mental space is in listening and playing with others. Like I just said that to my students yesterday. Not you should have, even if it's like Rachman piano concerto, you don't think about the crashes. You're just breathing, and all your energy is spent listening as hard as you can to the pianist that's playing pianissimo, like 100 feet away from you, and trying to play with them. That's all it is. The way to keep a job, I think the great players, is that you just exude music, and
Mhm.
that basically says, again, effortless and beautiful music, which means you have to listen and play with other people.
Yeah. Isn't it funny that like, if you look at a great drum set player, or like a jazz drum set player, it's
Yeah.
pretty much all about how they play with the soloist and
With
the bass player and with
right,
others.
right. They're
Like,
not thinking about like, oh, my right hand, is that even? Is that even? Like, come
right.
on.
That's
Yeah.
really irrelevant. I always
Right.
say it like I think it's almost automatic that we're going to be thinking about the wrong things. Like we're focused on, are the quality of my four-stroke roughs going to be just
I
right?
know.
And really it should be about, is it grooving, and are we
Right.
feeling a good sense of time? Like that's critically important. And I always hear people say, and I imagine you've heard this.
So like,
I lost you there. So can you say that again?
wait, you froze. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're back. You're back.
Yes. Sorry, I lost you there. What did you say?
I Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't remember.
Ah, yeah.
I don't remember what I said.
Thank you for being so candid about that and honest. Um, I was saying that I think we need to follow your advice and have it be about playing well in the ensemble. And place people talk about placement, and it's this like crazy thing. It's like if you know that you're playing with the violins, you're gonna put your focus there, and
Right.
you will figure out how to place it so that the audience hears it
Right.
hopefully in about the right, together.
Right. And then, I mean, the whole thing about, like, I always think of it as like jumping on and off the train that's moving, and the train is the whole orchestra, right? So it's like, those like Western movies where you're on the horseback, you have to like speed up, get ready to jump on. So it's as if it's you you land exactly as it's coming.
Hmm.
You don't you don't start from a standstill. And by that, in the musical sense, is that you're already so involved with the phrase, as in you're hearing it, but you're also singing it yourself, so that you know where it's going. So you bring yourself in.
Yeah.
So then it becomes this very organic thing, because half the time, people, a lot of people are late. It's because they're standing there counting, not listening. Then they're 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they prep way too late. And then by the time you come in, the moment has passed.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, music is so organic that you kind of just have to be like alive with it as it's happening, so you know when to come on and off.
Yeah. And I think that might be the most important thing that your colleagues in the Chicago Symphony need from you in your job is being able to understand how to get on the train and be with them right away. And it's as you said, it's like that because with percussion, you're counting
Right.
70 bars of rest while the
Right.
strings have been playing and they're already in the
Right.
groove and you have to
Right.
launch and be in that
Right.
groove.
Yeah.
So it is a skill set, but yeah, I think it's funny because a lot of times people are like, yeah, Cynthia Yeh, like she's got monster hands or whatever, and it's like actually the orchestra doesn't even know if her hands are monster or mediocre. They know that
Right.
she can play with the group and understands
Yeah.
how to play music with the group. This is a good question because I think you're talking about really simple musical concepts, but some that can be elusive. Eric Convey wants to know, should young percussion students be encouraged to study piano if they're not playing a pitched instrument before to learn phrasing and difficult reading?
I mean, if you have the time and the energy spent on it, everyone should really play some piano of some sort. But I feel like part of it is percussionists get so caught up in the technical aspect of like, and I can't tell if it's like, especially the marching ones,
Mm-hmm.
is it like the evenness, the like louder and faster and more even, and like
Right.
like I cannot keep up with that stuff.
I know.
Um,
Me neither. I can't either.
but I sometimes feel like it's like the whole concept of how you think about time and music, in that, the metronome, while it's our friend, is always also our biggest nemesis because there's no inflection. But if you think about it, every time signature, every subdivision has a hierarchy of importance. So why would you not groove it? Like, I think some people do it naturally to groove it out if they know what the time signature is, but then some people just play it so bloody evenly that it's just like a free for all, in terms of it's in no time. It's just a bunch of notes strung together. Instead of
Yeah.
like, there's no phrasing, there's no going anywhere.
Yeah.
And even in unpitched instruments, there's still phrasing because you're never just playing it by yourself. It's accompany usually a melody of some sort. So why not play that?
Josh Jones is saying, "Preach louder for the people in the back." Yeah, it's
Or
critically important to understand how to make phrases. And in Chicago, I always noticed that like the woodwinds are like, Alex Klein was there when I was there, and he was a beautiful player, and every line every note change, it was going somewhere. And but if
right,
you I
but
would what
too like
yeah, and then you go look at his part, and it said piano. Like there was no phrasing, there was no dynamics, and this guy like made all these shapes. So clearly like percussionists are going, well, it doesn't say to do anything, so I should play it, flat. And the answer is like no, every other instrumentalist is interpreting the line, is interpreting the phrase, right? I lost you there. Yeah,
I know it,
no, no, no,
but
it's
like I
cool.
don't. Oh, am I back? Okay.
Yeah,
No,
go
I
ahead.
think like regardless, just learning music. But I think sometimes when you're younger, is allowing yourself to listen and hear music instead of like I mean I was guilty of that when I was listening to like recordings to figure out excerpts and whatnot. I was listening for the excerpt. I wasn't sitting back and taking the whole bigger picture of the whole piece.
Yeah. I think it's really easy to do that as a young person
Right?
because you're
You
thinking,
were
I've
like
got to accomplish
nitpicking
this.
on like
Right, right.
right. So
Yeah, I always say that I think
getting
that,
old.
yeah, the easiest way to catch up as a young player is do a lot of listening to the whole piece to understand how it goes, right?
Yeah.
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 Um, all right. Hey, Harry, I think it's time. I think we have to give away these symbols. This is kind of a drag. I don't think my name's going to be on this wheel, and I kind of wish it was.
So
Wow.
what symbols are these?
Harry, what are we giving away today?
Zildjian gave us a pair of 18-inch K Constantinople special selections. So I think
Special selections.
Do we
Okay.
like those?
I don't know. I don't know if that's what I use.
You don't even
So
know.
no,
Are you not a gearhead?
I am so not a gearhead.
Yeah. By the way, isn't that a hard part of the job? I mean, the instrument maintenance and the instrument rentals and all that, like, do you enjoy that stuff?
Of course I don't, but I mean, but
Yeah.
I do plan out the season like whenever season schedule comes out in April, it's done by like 2 weeks later, a week later. The
Wow. So
whole
you
next season is done. So I know what's coming up.
so you just dig in on that, and I know how much work that is. Like you're at a desk for like
Right.
12 hours at least, right?
No, it's gotten so much faster because we've played so much stuff.
Oh, so you actually keep records of stuff?
I keep everything's on Google Drive. And then every year I dump it into my master. I alphabetize it. It's
Oh, you are such a genius. Why didn't I think of that?
because because computers weren't, back
You know
then.
what's fun? You know what's funny about that is I had that stuff on a computer that was downstairs right next to Carolee and then John Deverman's office. And
Oh,
when I left, I was like, well, I won't ever be playing percussion again, so I don't need that. And boy, I
oh,
sure wish I'd held on to it because like I had done 6 years of part assignments, and then like, my students are going like, okay, Mahler six, how many players? I'm like, I don't remember.
well, I mean that you can just use up the Brandon Carroll book
I could,
as a guide.
I could, but it's better when you do it yourself, right? Because now you actually
Right.
know that someone has to make a quick switch. You know that, who should play what in your section based on everyone's likes and strengths and things of that nature, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
our section, there's like the Mahlers, the Shostakovich, the Bruckners, like basically all the assignments are kind of made.
In other words,
Their preferences.
everyone's
Yeah,
got their preferences and their part that they've always
right,
always played.
right.
Do you ever switch it up?
Um, I've wanted to,
Yeah.
but you kind of need like everyone on board. I guess you can just do a one for one swap. I've done some one for ones, but we haven't
Yeah.
done like move one position to the left, which I kind of really want to do for all of Christmas welcome your stuff.
That would make things exciting because that gets a little bit tiring after like the 10th show, right?
Yeah, well, even though we don't do that many anymore, but still, it's just like, okay, I could play someone else's part.
I hear you. Yeah, that would be fun. Well, you know what? I also dream of winning the audition in the Chicago Symphony. So maybe if Jim Ross ever retires, I'll audition again. It would be wonderful. It'd be wonderful to play with you and for you to be my boss. And I think that way I could teach you a lot more of the lineage, some of those
Yes,
important traditions that we should carry on.
we should.
You don't believe it. Hey, I'm going to spin this wheel, everybody. I think people are getting pretty impatient here, watching their names spin around again and again. Here we go. Cynthia, this wheel can be brutal, like it slows down a lot, but there's so many names that I think this is going to end quickly. It is Tyler Marvin. Tyler Marvin, you have won a pair of Constantinople 18-inch Zildjian cymbals. That's really cool. Congratulations. This was made possible by Zildjian Cymbals. And they really would only do this kind of thing because it's you, Cynthia. You realize that, right?
Sure.
I mean, you're kind of this, the spokesperson in terms of you're kind of the model, like they used you on the cover of all sorts of advertisements, and you look super cool.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome. They didn't do anything for me. They didn't want my mug in front, on the stage holding a pair of their cymbals. So, like, good for you for being good looking enough to be able to pull that off.
Why, thank you, Ted.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
also
cool.
a girl.
I don't even know I don't know what to make of that. Was that ever, do you ever catch grief from dudes about being who you are and being as accomplished as you are?
You remember Steve Balderson, right?
Yeah, I do.
The
Cellist.
assistant principal cellist, the former
Yes.
assistant principal cellist.
Yeah.
Well, I met him at DePaul like a couple years into the job, and Brant Taylor was actually the one that introduced me to him. And then he goes, "You're joking, right? Get out." And I'm like, "No, really." He goes, "No, you've got to be kidding. No way."
He really did that?
Yeah, and Brant was like, "No, she really is our new principal percussionist."
What
So
was he thinking?
I run the gamut from that to, I still get people just assume I play the violin.
Right. You're in the Chicago Symphony. Most people in the symphony that are Asian play a string instrument, and therefore you must play violin, or I guess that bigger violin. That's
Yeah,
that the
that's the
viola,
slightly oversized one.
the oversized one, which burns
Yeah.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, we're talking a lot these days about having role models that look like you and being a trailblazer. But clearly, you just strike me as someone that was like pretty determined, and you did it really quickly. Obviously, you knew music, you knew you loved music. That's kind of critical. But like your rise to a professional gig that's like amazing happened so quickly.
I mean, yeah, I have to thank my lucky stars, I guess.
Yeah, but you also you have a certain conviction about you, and I would say confidence. So confident that you just stop your video. But okay, you're good. Okay.
My iPad dying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Do you get nervous for performances?
I mean, there are some that like I don't look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there are some where now I'm like, okay, I better shut it down at a certain time, make sure I go through my routine.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, yeah. So yeah. Next time we talk, I'll ask you. I've got like a million more questions for you, but maybe we'll have to take some of these offline so I can tell you the Gazelda story.
Ah, yes.
I know you're dying to hear that. Everybody's saying thank you. I want to thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for doing this. It's really good
Thanks
to
for
catch up
having
with you.
me.
Yeah, this was really entertaining for me. And thank you for all those digs. That was I deserve them all. Thank you
Yes,
to all of
anytime.
you. Thank you to all of you for attending. This has broken attendance records for 2022. Clearly, I haven't given a count, but you're pretty popular, Sin. And so are Zildjian Cymbals. So thanks
Yes,
again,
Zildjian Cymbals.
Zildjian. Yeah. Don't forget to register for the TAPS LA Music Festival, which is June 12th to the 26th. Do I have that right, Harry? I think I have that right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to Harrison Honor, who is in charge of our giveaways and our social media. Thanks to Greg LaRosa, our director of operations at TAPS. Yeah, we're looking for
What?
8. Yeah, you know
Greg
Greg.
LaRosa? I know Greg LaRosa. Hi.
Yeah. Yeah, he's actually here. He did a class at Colburn just about 2 hours ago. So I'm
Oh,
about to
nice.
meet up with him. So I'll tell him you said hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, stay tuned for more interviews with us. And Cynthia, thanks again. It was just such a pleasure. And
My pleasure.
I hope you stay warm.
It's warm enough. It's fine.
You were like used to Vancouver, so this is nothing.
No, I love the cold. I can't deal with heat, so
Oh, really?
yeah. San
I guess
Diego, not my thing.
I guess you found the right job.
I guess I did.
Hey, listen, you can't be a scrub and get that job. You know that.
Hey, thank you for retiring young.
Ah, I'm coming for you. I'm coming. Jim
Oh,
Ross,
yeah,
Jim Ross, you better retire because I'm
bring
coming to
it.
that audition. I'm gonna play some Bach with that marimba that's like up to here. Yeah, I'm gonna be great.
We have since gotten an adjustable frame one.
Ah, that was
Yes.
to my advantage. That because I'm so tall, you know.
Yeah, thanks. All right,
Hey,
well, on that note,
thanks again. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody.
you
We'll see
too.
you soon. Bye
Bye.
bye.